All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Sean Callan.
Here.
Julie Chetney.
Here.
Tom Chiappa.
Here.
David Crisafulli. Here. Jim McKenzie's here. Chris Norfleet.
Here.
Sean Onmock.
Here.
If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next up is floor to the public, and we do have one person. So before we go through this, I'll say the Oswego City School District's Board of Education welcomes public comment at the portion of the meeting using the following guidelines. Each speaker who is signed up is permitted 3 minutes for their comments. Speakers may not yield the remaining time to others. All comments must be directed to the board president. The board will listen to comments and input, but will not necessarily debate or discuss items. Operational matters will be directed to school administration for handling. The board is not permitted to address personnel or individual student matters in open session. The board president has the authority to end a speaker's comments or close public comment as appropriate. Any additional written correspondence or letters may be directed to the board clerk for distribution to the board. The board expects proper decorum at all times, and all speakers should state their full name and address. So, thank you. Mr. Tim Rice.
Good evening, I'm Tim Rice, 205 East 6th Street. Am I speaking? And business address is 705 East Seneca Street, is business agent for local 81 plumbers.
My purpose coming tonight is to ask for your continued support on the longstanding resolution in our district that requires contractors to have New York State registered apprentice programs on our capital projects. I'm asking you to vote no on this rescinding resolution. This resolution in nearly 20 years promotes the belief that apprenticeship training programs are desirable and appropriate, as is written in that resolution. And apparently today we're discussing that they're not. I may be the only one in the room except one person that has been around since this resolution was written. And I can give you a little history how this plays out over the past 20 years. As we get a new superintendent or hire a new professional service contractor, this discussion arises. The advice from either our architects or contractor or whatever will be that it limits bidders. It does limit bidders. It limits bidders who have state-approved apprentice programs. And we're looking to have the most qualified tradesmen doing the work at our schools. And in concern with the lack of bidders on our past projects, we really haven't had that bad of response to our contracts, except we get our bid documents out so late, like we did this past spring, that limits our bidders. And if we're the first ones out of the box when we do get this next capital project going, you'll have an abundance of bidders because contractors, they have a comfortable number, how many millions they're comfortable to take on in their business, how much manpower they are, how much their bonding allows. And that'll determine your bidders too. We want to get those bid docs out quicker than we historically have in the school district. Excuse my voice. I kind of lost it because I'm recovering from some stuff. And yet, unapologetically, yes, this benefits the union contractors. Because union contractors are all certified apprenticeship program. And the demographics of Oswego in Oswego District is union. That's who we are. You can think about it yourself of any of the tradespeople your neighbors or your friends, who isn't in a union. This is a unique district you know, compared to maybe other places. Our contractors in this district as well are all union contractors. The local building trades, I dare to say are the most supportive people in the district for any fundraising efforts that we have with your own charities you're involved with the Paradox, with our Christmas drives we just had, with Buck Boosters. That is our community, and that's what we do. Finally, you as board members, it's the same type of thing as us in my type of position as a business agent, as a trustee on funds. We or you set the policy for this district. When you send out the RFPs and interview superintendents, they know that is our policy in this district. If people are going to, if these professionals are going to argue with you on what our policies are, you can replace them. Just like we do if we have a fiduciary who isn't fulfilling our policies. That's it. Did I make it?
We gave you a little bit.
Thanks.
But
I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Thank you for coming out. That's everybody on our floor to the public. So next on the agenda is our acknowledgements with Julie Chetney.
Okay. Oh, Minetto. At Minetto, their kindergartners learned about Dr. Martin Luther King. They created this sweet visual that serves as a reminder of his lessons. At Riley School, Riley Elementary has been a flurry of excitement since December. The kindergarten presented their annual gingerbread presentation for parents and the school. Adorable they all were. We also held a school-wide sing-along of holiday songs as everyone enjoyed their cozy pajamas and special guests in a red suit. Third grade hosted parents with their second annual Cards and Cocoa, which was a widely attended event. Also at Riley, our Woot Woot Wagon, I hope I said that right, woo woo, was complete with hot cocoa and marshmallows, water choices, fruit, cookies, chips, and other snack treats. Every adult was treated to this and their doors complete with soft jazz music and a hearty thank you for their hard work and dedication. It's pretty cool. At the high school, Oswego had the pleasure of hosting the OCMEA All-County Band Concert last weekend on the 10th and the 11th. Tom, what does that stand for? You got me on that one. Okay. I'm
No
guessing.
help, sorry.
Do you know? Onondaga County Music Educators Association. Perfect, thank you. The performance was spectacular and featured Aaron Burgess, assistant professor from Ithaca College, as the conductor for the middle school band. Randall Standridge was a composer and conductor for the high school ensemble. Great job to all. That's it for announcements.
Great. Thank you very much, Julie.
Yep.
Next up, the agenda is Superintendent's Report with Dr. Kilmer.
Just a couple real quick ones. One, I can't believe we're already halfway through the year. The end of the first semester is Friday. So we're in the middle of Regents Week here at the high school. Just as a general FYI, we have a number of exams going on every single day. We are monitoring current weather conditions for tomorrow morning, but should there be a delay or closure as a result of weather conditions, we have plans so that none of our students miss out on the opportunities for examinations. So more to come, but I'll be up early watching the news like many to see what the weather will bring tomorrow. Next week, on Wednesday, the 29th, just a reminder, students are off that day for Lunar New Year. That's a New York State holiday, so all of our students will be off. And then last week, I sent out emails to our families and staff regarding our school climate survey. So all of our families and all of our staff should have received a communication from me on Friday, and then our students will be receiving information next week on the student portion of that survey. But just as a reminder, part of our strategic plan was a kind of a school climate survey, and our hope is this is something that we will do annually. And so please be on the lookout for an email, one from me, and then more importantly, if you should have received an email today, if you're a family member here within the district and you have a child going to any one of our district schools, from RMS, if you did not receive that email, check your spam, please. And then if you're still not receiving an email and you have questions, you can contact my office and we'll be happy to try to look into that to make sure. But we want lots of people to participate so we get as much feedback as possible for us. And we'll be providing a report to the board likely at the end of March, beginning to end of March. So we look forward to that work. And then just a reminder, the annual musical is coming up. Newsies is being put on by our theatrical production on February 7th and 8th. So evening show on Friday the 7th, and then a matinee and evening show on Saturday the 8th. So I hope you get a chance to come out to that. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda are some policies. We have about half dozen policies for first reading. These include the Code of Ethics for the board members and district personnel, equal employment opportunity, complaints and grievances by employees, drug-free workplace, fingerprinting clearance of new hires, and Family and Medical Leave Act. So if I can please have a motion for policy items A through F, which will be first readings of these policies.
I'll move.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sean. Any discussion?
Just to point out, you'll notice that these policies in a lot of ways are significantly shorter. You'll notice there's a lot of language pulled out. So the policy committee and I have been taking a look at the state mandated policies first. So these are ones that are mandated. We have lots of policies that may not be required by New York State, but are maybe good practice. So we're starting with those that are actually mandated by state law. And then we're also looking at trying to ensure that the language is in the policy identifies only what's necessary and doesn't include a restatement of the law. Our policies should refer us to go look at law, so as to if there's a change in law, we're not running back and changing policy, but we should always be acknowledging the law in which governs those policies. And that's really what these policy changes have done. So legal counsel has reviewed these policies, and these are legal counsel's recommendations. There were a couple of tweaks here and there that we also made in policy committee that are noted, but these are all those as recommended by legal counsel.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Kilmer. Any comments from board members? So for me, Dr. Kilmer, you mentioned that we used our attorneys for input on part of this. This is the first time I've seen this used in my short time here. I'm wondering why we did that as opposed to kind of going what Erie BOCES had, done in the past, and we kind of, maybe not exactly copy them, but use them as a template to then craft our own policy.
So it's good process to review policies on kind of a schedule, whether it's a 3-year or 5-year basis. Now, we do subscribe to Erie One, and Erie One provides us with general updates. Erie One policies are a little on the longer side as well. They actually do include a lot of additional language. I went to Ferrara, and in particular, Mike Dodds, who is the attorney who is most knowledgeable when it comes to policy, to help us take a look at our state mandated policies, just to make sure. We hadn't, as a district, I don't think, reviewed in full our policies, and I wanted to get a kind of a baseline, if you will, especially in the state mandated. Something that we talked briefly about as well, and we should probably have a larger conversation here as the full board, but taking a look at whether or not the board wishes to continue to utilize Erie 1 for policy development, or whether or not they'd like to go to school boards. Because they really do take different approaches when it comes to policy development and what their policies look like. It's something that we shouldn't decide tomorrow, but I do think it's worth, I think, for the board as a whole, to take a look at both types of policies to determine what they believe is in the best interest of the board and the district moving forward.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, so all those in favor of policy, first reading of policy items A through F? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda are committee discussions, and we do have 2 committee discussions. We have one from facilities. Sean?
Yeah, I just wanted to update everybody on the Phase 4A and B. We're getting pretty close. Next month, we'll have 90% of the drawings for the final phase of the 2018 project, which is a lot of work up at the middle school and the high school. Next month in February, those drawings will be completed. So we're getting, this has been a long capital project, but we're kind of getting towards the end and what we see from the architects and all the planning and things like that. Right now, the 2024 capital project, Ray's working with staff for input on the focus areas where we're going to see work done for the 2024 capital project. And lastly, just on the emergency project at the middle school for the windows, wanted to let everybody know that that's been completed. So all that work's been done and what needed to be addressed there. So I haven't been up there, but we did get a report that when you walk in and go through the hallway and everything, that and with the new lighting that's been put in place, that it looks pretty nice. So we're meeting every 2 weeks with King and King and our facilities committee. A lot of work that we're looking at, capital outlay and the current capital projects. So a lot of work to be done and discussions had. So just wanted to keep you guys posted.
Thank you, Sean. Visitation committee. Julie?
The visitation committee went to Kingsford Park last Friday, and it was a really great visit with Mary Volkemer. Having spent much of my 19 years as a parent at Kingsford, there's been some significant changes with this last project, especially the lighting, as Sean mentioned. You don't really notice it. When you walk in, it's beautiful and it's bright and the lights, and you notice that, but you don't really notice it till you look down the corridor where they haven't replaced the lighting. And it's very dark and drab, and I don't think as a parent never really recognized that when I was there for all those years. So the lighting was beautiful. With Kingsford being one of our older buildings and myself not having been in a lot of other elementary schools, you definitely can see the differences as far as some of the, I don't want to say niceties, but definitely niceties. Don't get me started on the cubbies, right? There's no cubbies at Kingsford. And I was really, they're beautiful in some of the other schools. So, but Kingsford, it looks really great. Mary's done a really great job. We were able to walk around to several different classroom spaces. Interesting to hear her talk about some additional space that she's been creating with her staff, instructional space, in particular right now in the AIS math and AIS rooms, where they have actually repurposed I'm going to date myself and everyone in here, the blackboards. So they weren't black, they're green, but the chalkboards. So they've created 4 stations with these magnetic dry erase boards for students to have these individual other educational areas in instructional space in the classroom. And it was really great to hear Mary talk about that and talk about how much students enjoyed those spaces because it was their own space, but more so because they could stand up. And I think as adults, and she shared this with us, she had kind of unrolled this with her staff, and they seemed to like or respond better to a sitting exercise. But the students really respond much better to these standing spaces where they can move about and get up from their seats. And Jen's shaking her head like she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So like it was really interesting to hear that, how that came to be. And she was hoping that to implement that in more and more of her classrooms over there. So that was pretty neat. So besides that, the lighting, it was quiet. We've been going in the morning, so we did get to see the play, or the school musical practicing in the gymnasium. And the morale seemed really good. The staff was really happy. It was Fitness Friday, and there was some kind of breakfast being served in the staff lounge, which I'll note no one took advantage of, not any of you. So, but it was really a great visit. And Kingsford is a beautiful school. It's got my heart, of course, but you know, Mary did a great job, and she was very, very kind to show us around.
Thank you, Julie. Next on the agenda, we have our consent agenda, and so I'd like to group all the items here under the consent agenda. It's items A through F. So if I can please have a motion for consent agenda items A through F.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion? Heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is personnel. We have two retirements. Agenda item A is retirement of Dr. Mary Volkemer, who has admirably served our students and staff as the principal at Kingsford Park since 2005. That's item A. And item B is retirement of Lawrence McCray, who has also admirably served our students and staff as a bus driver since 2007. So if I can please have a motion for items A and B.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kristen. Any discussion?
Just want to say again, thank you very much for the years of service and good luck in their retirements.
Just want to say congratulations. I was amazed reading this, that Dr. Volkemer has been there since 2005. One, it seems like she's always been there. So part of me was not surprised to see that, but part of me was because my son started at KPS in 2009, which means she was only a baby principal then, but she seemed like she had been the principal and owned that school then. And so it is hard for me to imagine KPS without Dr. Volkemer. And so I wish her the best in retirement, but I thank her so much. Having a principal to school for 20 years is an amazing, awesome thing. And she has been, I know, a mentor to so many people. So it's gonna be a huge loss to lose her. And I wanna thank her. I also wanna thank Mr. McCray for his service and what he's done for our students.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I would just echo what Kristen said. Dr. Volkemer started the year my first child started, and I didn't know she was her first year either, so you're right in saying she really has served Kingsford well since 2005, so thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'm going to group items C through J. So we have personnel items C through J, please. So this is through our substitute and temporary employees. So if there's a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Any discussion on items C through J under personnel? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, I'm going to group our extra compensatories, which is items K through M. So So if I can get a motion for items K through M, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Julie. Is there a second?
I'll-
Thank you, Sean. Any discussion? Items K through M. Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up, we have finance. I'm going to start with a single motion for item A, which is the resolution to rescind our previous resolution from a board dated October 30th, 2009. So if there is a motion for item A under finance, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, David. Does any board members have any discussion or questions? Item A. Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? One opposed, and Sean Admock. Okay, motion carries. All right, next up, we're going to have finance items B through G. So if we can have a motion for items B through G, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, David. Is there any discussion on items B through G? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have a final item under finance. This is item H. This is a resolution for the 2024 $1,000 capital outlay bid acceptance. So if I can have a motion for item H, please.
Move it.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second? Thank you, Sean. Is there any discussion on item H? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor? Aye. Is anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda, are there any items from the board? Sean?
Yeah, so this kind of is community and school, but for a couple weeks now, something pretty amazing and being tied to basketball for many years in our community. Really happy to see it come to. But Dom Scanlon and a group of people in our community have started a new basketball program for young kids, I think starting from first grade all the way up through eighth grade. And it also ties in, when we talk about, programs in our community to feed to our school district, the basketball players, JV and varsity basketball players, all have responsibilities Saturday afternoon with this program. So there's over 300 kids in our community that are participating in this youth basketball program. And I hate to admit it, but our neighbors to the south, they've had an unbelievable program in place for many, many years. And Oswego youth players, girls and boys, would go to Fulton to participate in this program. And it is an amazing program. So I really credit, I can't list all the people that have started this program, but I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention because the feedback in 2 weeks, the participation of our student athletes in it, and our coaches, varsity and JV basketball coaches, all involved in this. Like, this is how you create culture and go upstream a little bit to develop a program. So everybody involved, I just wanted to say thank you and really appreciate it. And I think it's a great thing, so.
Sean, is that the one that, through the YMCA, or working at the YMCA? You started down there? I saw the registration. I couldn't get in there. They had a height minimum. Anyway, I didn't make it. I was so close.
I think it's called the Bucks Basketball Organization.
That's what it's called?
And I thought it was younger than first grade, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I saw all the kids registering when I was down there coming out. I tried to get in. I was so close.
Thank you, Sean. Any items from any other board members this evening? Gotcha.
The girls varsity basketball team's game tonight against Fulton is the suicide prevention awareness fundraiser. There's a bunch of baskets over there. The varsity game starts at 6:45. JV game's going on right now, and the both of the girls there, the JV and varsity girls, are also helping with that BBO every Saturday, either reffing, keeping score, or just manning the table. And that, like Sean said, you know, you got to give credit to our noisy neighbors from the south, but they have a really good knee-high program there, and hopefully Oswego can replicate that and change the culture of our basketball and other sports programs here. And I think there's a lot of positives right now with our programs, and they're headed in the right direction, and that's a good one for the basketball teams.
Thank you, Sean. Any other board members? Okay. We do have the need for an executive session this evening for the purposes of collective negotiations pursuant Article 14 of Civil Service Law and the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, and there will not be a need for a vote afterwards. So if I can have a motion to move to executive session, please.
I'll move.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Got David? Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Have a great evening, everybody.